Have you ever chased someone who was clearly walking away? You sent the first message, then another. You waited for a response. You checked your phone. You wondered what you had done wrong. You tried to make the conversation interesting. You tried to prove your value. You gave more. You explained more. You cared more. And the more you chased, the more distant they seemed. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe it was someone you loved. Maybe it was someone you desperately wanted to impress. Or maybe it was simply someone whose approval you thought you needed. But eventually, you reached that painful realization. You were fighting for a place in someone's life that they weren't fighting to keep you in. And that realization hurts. Because when you genuinely care about someone, walking away feels like losing. You think, what if they leave forever? What if I never find someone like them again? What if I should try one more time? What if they just need me to prove that I care? So you chase. You send another message. You apologize even when you did nothing wrong. You explain your intentions. You offer more attention. You become more available. And for a brief moment, you may feel like you're doing something noble. But there's a difference between showing someone that you care and chasing someone who has already decided not to reciprocate. The first is love. The second is self-abandonment. And Stoicism teaches us something that can completely change the way you approach relationships. You cannot control who chooses you, but you can control whether you continue begging to be chosen. That is where your freedom begins. The Stoic truth about chasing. The ancient Stoics understood something about human nature that remains relevant today. We naturally become attached to things we cannot control. We want people to like us. We want them to understand us. We want them to stay. We want them to appreciate everything we've done. We want them to recognize our value. But none of these things are completely within our control. Epictetus divided life into two categories: things within our control and things outside our control. Your judgments are within your control. Your choices are within your control. Your actions are within your control. Your response is within your control. But another person's feelings, their decisions, their loyalty, their attraction, their attention, their opinion of you, those belong to them. And when you spend your energy trying to control them, you create your own suffering. Think about how exhausting it is to chase someone. You wake up thinking about them. You check whether they've responded. You analyze their messages. You wonder why they viewed your story but didn't reply. You interpret every small behavior. You ask friends what they think. You replay conversations in your head. You become emotionally dependent on something you cannot control. And suddenly, someone who isn't even physically present controls your entire emotional state. That's not freedom. That's dependence. The Stoic doesn't say, stop caring about people. The Stoic says, care without surrendering your peace. Love without losing yourself. Give without begging. Support without becoming dependent. And most importantly, know when your effort is no longer being reciprocated. Stop confusing effort with love. This is where many people become trapped. They think, if I just try harder, they'll eventually appreciate me. So they try harder. They become more generous, more available, more forgiving, more understanding. But sometimes trying harder doesn't fix the problem. It simply teaches the other person that you'll continue giving even when they give nothing back. That's a dangerous lesson to teach someone, because people often treat you according to the boundaries you establish. If you constantly accept being ignored, they learn that ignoring you has no consequence. If you constantly tolerate disrespect, they learn that disrespect doesn't cost them your presence. If you always chase, they learn that they don't have to pursue you. You will pursue them anyway. This doesn't mean relationships should become transactional. It means they should be reciprocal. Healthy relationships require effort from both sides. One person shouldn't constantly carry the emotional weight of the connection. You shouldn't have to convince someone to care. You shouldn't have to repeatedly prove that you're worth their time. And you shouldn't have to destroy your dignity just to keep someone around. The first Stoic rule: never beg for what should be given freely. Think about respect. If you have to repeatedly beg someone to respect you, is it really respect? If you have to constantly ask someone to communicate, is the relationship healthy? If you have to repeatedly convince someone to appreciate your presence, what exactly are you trying to preserve? Sometimes the hardest truth is also the most liberating. Some people don't value what you bring into their lives. And that doesn't mean you're worthless. It means you're offering value where it isn't being recognized. A diamond doesn't become worthless because someone doesn't know how to recognize one. Your value doesn't disappear because someone failed to appreciate it. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself not to depend on the opinions of others. He understood that your character belongs to you. Your reputation belongs partly to others. That's an important distinction. You control who you are. You don't control what everyone thinks about you. So stop trying to manage every opinion. Stop trying to make everyone understand your intentions. Stop trying to force people to recognize your worth. Live in a way that makes you respect yourself. That is enough. What happens when you stop chasing? Something remarkable happens when you finally stop. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You're used to reaching out. You're used to checking. You're used to making the first move. So when you stop, silence feels strange. You may wonder, did I make the right decision? Should I text them? Maybe they are waiting for me. But this discomfort is part of the process. You're not necessarily missing the person. Sometimes you're experiencing withdrawal from the habit of seeking their validation. That's different. You have trained your mind to associate their attention with your worth. Now you have to retrain it. You have to remind yourself, their silence is not a measurement of my value. Their rejection is not a definition of my identity. Their absence does not mean my life has lost meaning. This is where Stoic discipline becomes powerful. You don't react to every emotion. You observe it. You acknowledge it. Then you decide what action aligns with your values. You may miss someone. That's okay. You may feel lonely. That's okay. You may wish they would return. That's okay too. But feeling something doesn't mean you have to act on it. That's one of the most important lessons in emotional mastery. You can feel the urge without obeying the urge. Never chase what is running away. Imagine you're standing at a train station. The train begins moving. You could run after it. You could scream. You could desperately try to catch it. But the train is already leaving. At some point, running after it doesn't change anything. It only exhausts you. Relationships can be like that. Sometimes someone is leaving, and your instinct is to run after them. But perhaps your job isn't to catch the train. Perhaps your job is to stand still, accept what happened, and wait for the next destination. Because life doesn't end when one person leaves. Your story doesn't end because someone rejected you. Your future doesn't disappear because someone chose another path. The Stoic understands impermanence. Everything changes. People enter. People leave. Circumstances shift. Nothing external is guaranteed to remain forever. The wise person doesn't demand permanence from a world built on change. They appreciate what they have while it exists. And when something ends, they accept the ending. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because reality doesn't require your permission to be reality. Don't chase, become. Here's the mindset shift that can change your life. Instead of asking, how do I make them want me? Ask, how do I become someone I am proud to be? Instead of, how do I make them regret losing me? Ask, how do I build a life so meaningful that their absence no longer controls me? Instead of, how do I get their attention? Ask, where should I place my attention? That is Stoic thinking. You redirect your energy. You stop investing in what you cannot control and start investing in what you can. Your health, your discipline, your knowledge, your purpose, your character, your relationships with people who genuinely reciprocate, your future. Every hour spent chasing someone who doesn't want you is an hour you could have spent building the person you want to become. And eventually, you realize something. The goal was never to make someone chase you. The goal was to become so grounded in yourself that you no longer need to be chased at all. There is one person you should never chase. Your future self. You should never chase approval from people who don't respect you. You should never chase affection from people who don't reciprocate. You should never chase friendship from people who only contact you when they need something. You should never chase someone who repeatedly demonstrates that they don't want the relationship you're trying to build. But there is one person worth pursuing relentlessly. The person you are capable of becoming. Chase discipline. Chase wisdom. Chase excellence. Chase integrity. Chase peace. Chase growth. Chase your purpose. Because those pursuits actually belong to you. No one can take them away. You cannot force someone to choose you. You can care. You can communicate. You can show appreciation. You can make an honest effort. But you cannot manufacture another person's desire, loyalty, respect, or commitment. And the moment you understand this, something inside you begins to change. You stop asking, how can I make them stay? And you start asking, are they showing me that they deserve a place in my life? That is a completely different question. One comes from fear. The other comes from self-respect. And today, we're going deeper. Because there is another reason people become trapped in the habit of chasing. They don't just chase people. They chase potential. They look at someone and imagine who that person could become. They remember the good moments. They focus on the rare moments of affection. They hold on to promises. They keep telling themselves, maybe things will change. Maybe they will realize my value. Maybe if I give them more time. And while they're waiting for potential to become reality, they're ignoring reality itself. The Stoic doesn't live according to what someone might become. The Stoic observes what someone consistently is. That distinction can save you years of emotional exhaustion. Stop falling in love with potential. Imagine someone constantly tells you they care about you, but their actions repeatedly show the opposite. They disappear. They return when it's convenient. They make promises. They break them. They give you attention, then withdraw it. They keep you emotionally uncertain. Yet you remain because you keep thinking. Deep down they care. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But here's the important question. What are they actually showing you? Because intentions without actions don't create healthy relationships. Words can be beautiful. Actions are evidence. A person can tell you they value you, but if they repeatedly treat you as an option, you have information. The Stoic learns from evidence. They don't keep arguing with reality. They accept what reality shows them. This is one of the hardest forms of wisdom, because accepting reality sometimes means giving up the fantasy you created around someone. And fantasies can be addictive. You remember the person they were on their best day. You imagine the relationship you could have. You replay the beautiful conversations. You think about the future you pictured. But meanwhile, the present is telling you something completely different. Don't ignore it. The Stoic practice of seeing people clearly. Stoicism teaches us to separate what is from what we wish were true. That's difficult because emotions distort perception. When you desperately want someone to stay, you interpret everything they do in the most hopeful way. A delayed response becomes, they're probably busy. Repeated cancellations become, they're going through a lot. Disrespect becomes, maybe they didn't mean it. Distance becomes, they just need space. And sometimes those explanations are true, but if the pattern continues, you have to stop explaining the behavior and start observing it. One isolated incident tells you very little. A pattern tells you much more. That's why the Stoic doesn't judge people based on one moment. They observe consistency. Do their words match their actions? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they make an effort? Do they communicate honestly? Do they show up when you need them? Do they treat you with consideration? These questions reveal more than promises ever could. Stop overgiving. Now, let's address another dangerous habit. Giving more and more in the hope that someone will eventually give back. You give your time, then more time. You give attention, then more attention. You forgive, again and again. You make excuses. You accommodate. You sacrifice. And eventually, you become exhausted. Yet instead of stepping back, you think, maybe I haven't done enough. This is where chasing becomes dangerous, because you begin believing that if you just give enough, someone will finally appreciate you. But love is not a transaction where you keep depositing until someone is forced to reciprocate. Healthy connection requires mutual effort. You shouldn't have to empty yourself to prove that you're worthy of being loved. Think about a cup. If you keep pouring into someone else's cup, while yours remains empty, eventually you have nothing left. And once you're empty, you may begin resenting the very person you were trying to please. That's why boundaries matter. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're instructions for how you expect to be treated. Give without losing yourself. The Stoics were not against generosity. quite the opposite. They valued kindness, service, friendship, and compassion. But they understood the difference between generosity and self-destruction. You can help someone without becoming responsible for their entire life. You can love someone without becoming dependent on them. You can support someone without abandoning yourself. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to you. This is mature detachment. It says, I care about you, but I will not destroy myself trying to save you. That's strength. And ironically, healthy boundaries often make relationships stronger, because when people know you have limits, they understand that your presence is a choice, not desperation. Your availability should have boundaries. Here's a simple question. Are you always available? Whenever they call, you answer. Whenever they need something, you show up. Whenever they're lonely, they know where to find you. But when you need them, they're suddenly unavailable. If that sounds familiar, pay attention. Being available is not inherently bad, but being permanently available to someone who is selectively available to you creates imbalance, and imbalance eventually creates resentment. The Stoic doesn't play games. They don't intentionally ignore messages to create mystery. They don't pretend to be busy when they're not. They don't manipulate availability. Instead, they simply have a life, a real life. Their day isn't built around waiting for someone else. They have responsibilities, goals, interests, friends, learning, work, health, purpose. So when someone enters their life, that person becomes part of their life, not the entire life. That's a huge difference. Never make someone your entire world. This is one of the most dangerous mistakes in relationships. You meet someone, you connect, you become excited, and slowly, everything begins revolving around them. Your mood depends on their messages. Your schedule depends on their availability. Your happiness depends on their attention. You stop doing things you used to enjoy. You spend less time with friends. You neglect your goals. You begin organizing your life around another person. And then when that person pulls away, your entire emotional world collapses. Why? Because you didn't just lose a relationship. You lost the structure of your identity. That's why Stoicism emphasizes inner stability. Your life should have multiple pillars: purpose, health, friendship, family, learning, spiritual reflection, work, personal growth, relationships. When one area becomes difficult, the others continue supporting you. But if one person becomes a foundation of everything, their absence can feel like the destruction of your entire world. Don't build your life that way. Love deeply, but remain whole. Let people miss you naturally. There is an interesting principle in human relationships. Absence can reveal value, not because you should manipulate people by disappearing, but because constant presence can sometimes prevent appreciation. Imagine listening to the same song every minute of every day. Eventually you stop noticing it. Then imagine hearing that song after several months. Suddenly, you remember everything. The emotional connection returns. Relationships can sometimes work similarly. When you are constantly available, constantly messaging, constantly checking in, constantly providing attention, there is no space for the other person to experience your absence. But when you live your own life, space naturally appears. And that space allows people to decide what your presence means to them. This is important. Don't create absence as a manipulation tactic. Don't disappear to make someone panic. Don't ignore someone to make them chase. That's still chasing, just in disguise. Instead, live, focus on your life, and let people experience your presence or absence naturally. If they value you, they will make an effort. If they don't, you receive an answer. Silence can reveal everything. Sometimes you don't need to ask someone where you stand. Just stop doing all the work. Stop initiating every conversation. Stop organizing every meeting. Stop checking in constantly. Stop rescuing every connection. Then observe. What happens? Do they reach out? Do they ask about you? Do they notice your absence? Do they attempt to reconnect? Or does everything simply disappear? Silence isn't always an answer, but sometimes it reveals the answer, and the Stoic knows how to observe without immediately interfering. This is difficult, because your instinct will tell you to fix the silence. You'll want to send a message. You may want to ask, "Are you okay? Did I do something? Why haven't you responded?" Sometimes that's appropriate. Communication matters. But if you've already communicated clearly and the other person repeatedly chooses distance, you don't need to chase the explanation forever. At some point, the behavior itself becomes the explanation. Don't turn detachment into coldness. Now, there's a danger in learning all of this. You might think, "Fine, I'll stop caring about everyone." That's not Stoicism. That's emotional avoidance. Stoicism doesn't teach you to become cold. It teaches you to become free. There's a difference. A cold person says, "I don't need anyone." A Stoic says, "I value people deeply, but I don't surrender my peace to them." A cold person avoids attachment because they're afraid of being hurt. A Stoic accepts that attachment may bring pain, but still chooses to love wisely. A cold person closes their heart. A Stoic strengthens their heart. You don't need to stop loving. You need to stop abandoning yourself in the name of love. Know when to walk away. There comes a moment when persistence becomes self-betrayal. You have communicated. You've been patient. You've made reasonable efforts. You've given the relationship room to improve. But nothing changes. The disrespect continues. The inconsistency continues. The manipulation continues. The one-sided effort continues. At that point, walking away isn't giving up. It's accepting reality. Epictetus taught that wisdom comes from understanding what is within our power and what is not. You can invite someone to change. You cannot force them. You can communicate. You cannot force understanding. You can offer love. You cannot force someone to receive it. You can open the door. You cannot force someone to walk through it. And that's okay. Some doors are meant to close. Not every ending is a failure. Some endings are protection. Some endings are redirection. Some endings create the space necessary for growth. Don't seek revenge. If someone rejects you, don't try to punish them. If someone leaves, don't make it your mission to make them regret it. If someone ignores you, don't build your life around proving what they lost. Why? Because that still makes them the center of your life. Revenge is another form of attachment. You may think you're moving on, but if everything you're doing is designed to make them notice you, you're still emotionally connected. The ultimate form of freedom isn't making someone regret losing you. It's reaching the point where you genuinely don't need them to regret it. You don't need their apology. You don't need their return. You don't need their validation. You simply move forward. That's Stoic freedom. The moment you get your power back, your power returns the moment you stop asking someone else to confirm your worth. You stop checking your phone. You stop analyzing their behavior. You stop asking friends what they think. You stop creating imaginary conversations in your head. You stop wondering what you could have done differently. And you begin asking, what can I control today? You can control your morning. You can control your habits. You can control your work. You can control your health. You can control your words. You can control your response. You can control whether you spend today building yourself or chasing someone else's attention. That choice belongs to you every single day. The second Stoic rule, let reciprocity guide your effort. Here's a principle you can carry into every relationship. Match reality, not fantasy. If someone consistently gives effort, give effort. If someone communicates openly, communicate openly. If someone respects your boundaries, respect theirs. If someone creates space for you, create space for them. But if someone repeatedly withdraws, don't chase harder. Step back, not as punishment, as observation. Let their actions reveal their intentions, and then make your decision based on reality. This doesn't mean keeping score. It means paying attention, because love without awareness can become self-destruction. Your life after you stop chasing. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing you no longer need to check who texted you. You no longer care who viewed your story. You don't wonder why someone hasn't called. You don't need everyone to approve of you. You don't feel compelled to prove your worth. You don't panic when someone walks away. You still care. You still love. You still value relationships. But you are no longer dependent on them for your identity. That's emotional freedom. And that's what Stoicism is ultimately trying to teach. Not how to become emotionless, but how to become emotionally sovereign. You govern yourself. Your mind belongs to you. Your attention belongs to you. Your choices belong to you. Your peace belongs to you. Don't give those things away casually. There's a moment that almost everyone experiences at some point. You finally stop chasing. You stop sending messages. You stop checking. You stop trying to explain yourself. You begin rebuilding your life. You start sleeping better. You focus on your goals. You spend time with people who genuinely care about you. And slowly, you stop thinking about them. Then suddenly, your phone lights up. Their name appears on the screen. Hey, how have you been? And in 1 second, everything comes rushing back. The memories, the emotions, the questions, the hope, the temptation. You think, maybe they finally realize my value. Maybe they've changed. Maybe this time it will be different. And this is where your Stoic discipline is truly tested. Because walking away from someone is one kind of strength, but having the wisdom to decide what happens when they return requires another level of strength. You cannot allow loneliness to make your decisions. You cannot allow nostalgia to make your decisions. You cannot allow excitement to make your decisions. And you certainly shouldn't allow the fear of losing them again to make your decisions. Instead, pause, observe, think, because the Stoic doesn't react simply because an old door suddenly opens. The Stoic asks, why did I close in the first place? Don't let nostalgia rewrite history. One of the most dangerous things about losing someone is that your mind often remembers the good parts more vividly than the painful ones. You remember the laughter, the late-night conversations, the moments when they made you feel special, the days when everything seemed perfect, but you may forget the uncertainty, the unanswered messages, the broken promises, the disrespect, the confusion, the moments when you felt like you were begging for basic attention. Why does this happen? Because the human mind has a tendency to romanticize the past, especially when we're lonely, and loneliness can make almost any familiar person look better than they actually were. That's why you must learn to separate memory from reality. Ask yourself, do I miss this person? Or, do I miss how I felt when things were good? Those are not always the same thing. You may miss the memories without needing the relationship back. You may appreciate what once existed without reopening a chapter that destroyed your peace. The Stoic respects the past, but does not live inside it. If they come back, watch their actions. Suppose someone returns after treating you poorly. They say, I miss you. I've been thinking about you. I made a mistake. Those words may be sincere, but sincerity isn't proven by emotion. It's proven by consistent action. Anyone can miss you. Missing someone doesn't automatically mean you're ready to treat them correctly. Someone can miss your presence while still being capable of maintaining a healthy relationship. That's why you should never judge change by words alone. Watch behavior. Have they taken responsibility? Have they acknowledged what happened? Have they changed behavior that caused the problem? Are they communicating differently? Are they respecting your boundaries? Are they consistent? Or did they simply become lonely? There's a huge difference. Someone returning because they genuinely value you is one thing. Someone returning because they don't like losing access to you is another. The Stoic doesn't rush to determine which one it is. They observe. Time reveals everything. Don't reward temporary change. This is a mistake people make repeatedly. Someone behaves badly. You distance yourself. They realize you're leaving. Suddenly, they're perfect. They call constantly. They apologize. They promise to change. You return, and for a few weeks, everything feels amazing. Then gradually, the old behavior returns. Why? Because the change was temporary. It wasn't transformation. It was reaction. True change survives when the pressure disappears. That's why you should never judge someone by how they behave when they're afraid of losing you. Watch how they behave when they feel secure. Anyone can behave well for a short period. Character is revealed through consistency. Marcus Aurelius didn't believe virtue was something you performed occasionally. Virtue had to become a way of life. The same principle applies to relationships. Don't ask, are they different today? Ask, have they been different consistently? One good conversation doesn't prove transformation. One apology doesn't prove maturity. One romantic gesture doesn't prove commitment. Patterns matter more than moments. You don't owe anyone access to you. This is one of the most important lessons you can learn. Forgiving someone does not mean giving them unlimited access to you. You can forgive someone and still maintain distance. You can wish someone well and still decide they're not healthy for your life. You can release anger without reopening the relationship. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from resentment. Access is about trust. Those are different things. If someone repeatedly violates your trust, you are allowed to establish boundaries, not because you're bitter, because you've learned. Wisdom doesn't mean refusing to give second chances. It means knowing when a second chance is deserved. Stop trying to prove you've moved on. Here's another trap. Sometimes people stop chasing someone, but secretly continue living for their reaction. They post things hoping the person sees them. They show off their success. They deliberately appear happy. They want the other person to think, "Look what you lost." But ask yourself, if you're still trying to make them notice your life, have you really moved on? Maybe not, because they're still the audience. They're still the person you're performing for. True freedom looks different. You don't need them to see your progress. You don't need them to regret leaving. You don't need them to know you're doing better. You simply build your life because it's your life. That is the difference between moving on and performing moving on. The Stoic doesn't seek revenge. If someone treated you badly, you may have imagined revenge. Maybe you wanted them to feel the pain they caused you. Maybe you wanted them to regret losing you. Maybe you wanted them to come back begging. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If your happiness depends on their regret, they still control you. Think about it. You're still waiting for their reaction. You're still checking whether they noticed. You're still hoping they suffer. You're still emotionally connected. That's not freedom. The Stoic approach is much more powerful. Let them live with their choices. You live with yours. You don't need to punish them. You don't need to embarrass them. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to prove anything. You simply move forward. Your growth is not revenge. Your peace is not revenge. Your happiness is not revenge. They're simply your life. Never chase closure from someone else. Another reason people keep chasing is because they want closure. They think, if they would just explain why they did this, if they would just apologize, if they would just tell me the truth, then maybe they could finally move on. But sometimes, the person who hurt you is the least capable of giving you the closure you need. They may not understand what they did. They may deny it. They may blame you. They may give you an explanation that creates even more questions. And then what? You chase again. The Stoic learns to create closure through acceptance. Sometimes the answer is simply, this relationship no longer works for me. That's enough. You don't need a courtroom verdict to leave a situation that repeatedly destroys your peace. You don't need someone to agree that they treated you badly. You don't need their permission to move forward. Reality itself can be closure. Your silence is not a weapon. There is a difference between silence used for manipulation and silence used for peace. Manipulative silence says, "I'm ignoring you so you will chase me." Stoic silence says, "I have nothing productive to add, so I will remain quiet." One seeks control. The other seeks peace. Never use Stoic principles as manipulation tactics. Don't pretend you don't care when you actually do. Don't deliberately create jealousy. Don't disappear just to make someone panic. Don't use emotional distance as a weapon. That's not Stoicism. That's strategy disguised as philosophy. The Stoic isn't trying to control other people. They're trying to control themselves. Stop chasing and start selecting. This is perhaps the biggest mindset shift in this entire video. When you're chasing someone, you're asking, will they choose me? When you develop self-respect, you begin asking, do I choose them? That's powerful. You're no longer sitting around waiting for someone to decide whether you're worthy. You're evaluating whether their character aligns with yours. Do they bring peace or chaos? Do they communicate or manipulate? Do they respect boundaries? Do they keep promises? Do they take responsibility? Do they encourage your growth? Do they make your life healthier? These questions change your entire perspective. You stop looking at relationships through the lens of, How much do they want me? And start looking through. What kind of life does this relationship create? That's maturity. You don't need to be chosen by everyone. Let's talk about rejection. Rejection hurts. There's no reason to pretend otherwise. But rejection doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong with you. Sometimes two people simply aren't compatible. Sometimes someone wants a different life. Sometimes their priorities are different. Sometimes their feelings change. Sometimes the timing is wrong. And sometimes they simply don't want the relationship you want. That's painful, but it isn't a verdict on your worth. Imagine applying for 10 jobs. 9 reject you. Does that mean you have no value? No, it means those 9 opportunities weren't the right fit. Relationships can be similar. Stop treating every rejection as evidence that you're inadequate. Sometimes rejection is simply redirection. The Stoic accepts what isn't within their control. They don't spend years arguing with reality. Build a life that doesn't require chasing. Now imagine your life 5 years from today. What do you want it to look like? Do you want to wake up every morning checking whether someone replied? Do you want your emotional state controlled by another person's attention? Do you want to spend your energy wondering whether someone will choose you? Or do you want something different? A strong body, a disciplined mind, a meaningful career, deep friendships, healthy relationships, financial stability, personal growth, inner peace, a clear purpose. That's the life you should be building. Because when your life becomes meaningful, chasing becomes less attractive. Not because you become arrogant, but because your attention becomes valuable. You realize, I don't have unlimited time. And suddenly, you become more selective about where you invest it. Your attention is your life. Think about this carefully. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If you spend 3 hours thinking about someone who doesn't care about you, those 3 hours are gone. You can't recover them. If you spend an entire day analyzing someone's behavior, that day is gone. If you spend months waiting for someone to change, those months are gone. Time is the one resource you cannot earn back. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca wrote extensively about the value of time. We often complain that life is short, but perhaps the problem isn't that life is too short. Perhaps we're too careless with the time we have. So ask yourself, who deserves your attention? Your purpose? Your health? Your family? Your growth? Your future? Or someone who has repeatedly demonstrated that they don't value your presence? Choose carefully. Your attention is your life. The person who stops chasing becomes free. Eventually, something changes. You stop needing immediate answers. You stop fearing every goodbye. You stop trying to convince people. You stop begging for attention. You stop explaining your worth. You stop chasing. And suddenly, you become calmer. Your relationships become healthier. Your boundaries become stronger. Your standards become clearer. You become more selective. And most importantly, you become more comfortable with yourself. That's the real victory. Not making someone chase you. Not making someone regret losing you. Not proving that you're better without them. The real victory is becoming someone who can say, I care about you, but I will not abandon myself for you. That sentence contains enormous strength. The third Stoic lesson. So when someone comes back, don't automatically open the door. Observe. When someone apologizes, listen, but watch their actions. When someone promises change, give time the opportunity to verify it. And if someone never returns, don't chase them. Continue forward, because your life cannot be placed on pause while someone decides whether they appreciate you. Your future is moving. Your time is moving. Your life is moving. Move with it. By now, the message should be clear. The goal isn't to make people chase you. The goal isn't to become distant, so people fear losing you. It isn't about playing hard to get. It isn't about ignoring messages to manipulate someone. It isn't about pretending you don't care. And it certainly isn't about becoming cold. The real goal is much deeper. The goal is to become so grounded within yourself that you no longer abandon yourself just to keep someone else. That's the freedom Stoicism teaches. Because once you understand your own value, you stop begging others to confirm it. Once you understand your time is limited, you stop wasting it on people who consistently give you nothing in return. Once you understand that rejection is not destruction, you stop fearing it. And once you understand that people have the right to choose their own path, you stop chasing those who choose a path without you. This is where emotional independence begins. You don't need everyone to stay. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: not everyone is supposed to stay in your life. Some people are there for years, some for months, some for a single season. Some teach you, some challenge you, some love you, some disappoint you, some help you become stronger, and some simply show you what you should never tolerate again. But because we become attached to people, we often interpret their departure as failure. We think, I lost them. Something went wrong. I wasn't enough. But what if the ending wasn't failure? What if it was simply the natural conclusion of that chapter? The Stoics understood impermanence. They knew that everything external changes. Relationships change. Circumstances change. Our bodies change. Our possessions change. Our social positions change. Even life itself changes. So why would relationships be different? When you understand impermanence, you stop demanding that everything remain exactly as it is. Instead, you appreciate what exists while it exists. And when it changes, you adapt. That's strength. Love without possession. There's a profound difference between loving someone and believing you own their presence. You can love someone deeply and still recognize that they're free. They have their own choices, their own desires, their own direction, their own life. You cannot possess another human being, and trying to do so creates fear. You become afraid they'll leave, afraid they'll change, afraid they'll meet someone else, afraid they'll stop loving you. And that fear can cause you to become controlling. You check their phone. You demand reassurance. You constantly ask where they are. You become jealous. You monitor their behavior. But control doesn't create genuine love. It creates pressure. The Stoic approach is different. You give people freedom. And in doing so, you give yourself freedom too. You can say, I love you, but I don't own you. I value you, but I don't control you. I want you in my life, but I won't destroy myself if you choose to leave. That's mature love. Stop making rejection personal. Let's talk about one of the biggest reasons people chase. Rejection. Someone doesn't respond. Someone loses interest. Someone chooses somebody else. Someone ends a relationship. And immediately, your mind begins searching for what's wrong with you. Am I unattractive? Am I boring? Was I not good enough? What did they see in someone else? You begin comparing yourself. You begin questioning your identity. But here's a Stoic question. Was their decision actually within your control? No. So why allow it to define you? Someone's inability to recognize your value doesn't erase your value. Think about art. One person may look at a painting and see nothing special. Another person may consider it extraordinary. Did the painting change? No. The observer changed. Human preferences are subjective. People have different personalities, different values, different needs, different histories, different desires. You are not going to be compatible with everyone, and that's normal. Your goal isn't to become universally desirable. Your goal is to become genuinely yourself. Then allow the right people to recognize you. Stop competing for attention. Modern life has turned attention into a competition. People compete for likes, followers, views, messages, dates, status, approval. And relationships can become part of the same game. You see someone receiving attention and wonder, why aren't I getting that? You compare yourself. You try to become more attractive, more interesting, more successful, more impressive. You begin performing. But here's the problem. You can never win a competition you invented. There will always be someone with more followers, someone more attractive, someone richer, someone more successful, someone younger, someone more charismatic. If your worth depends on being better than everyone else, you'll never have peace. The Stoic doesn't ask, am I better than them? They ask, am I better than I was yesterday? That's the competition that matters. Build your inner world. If you want to stop chasing external validation, build an internal world worth living in. Develop interests. Read. Exercise. Learn. Create, work, travel when possible, build meaningful friendships, spend time alone, develop skills, pursue your goals, reflect on your mistakes, strengthen your character. When your inner world becomes rich, you become less desperate for external stimulation. You don't need someone to constantly entertain you. You don't need constant attention. You don't need someone to tell you that you're enough. You already know who you are. That's why self-improvement isn't just about becoming more successful. It's about becoming less dependent on external approval. Create a life you don't want to escape from. Sometimes people chase relationships because they don't enjoy their own lives. Their work feels empty. Their days lack structure. They don't have meaningful goals. They don't have hobbies. They don't have strong friendships. They don't know what they're building. Then someone enters their life, and suddenly everything feels exciting. The relationship becomes their purpose. But when the relationship disappears, the emptiness returns. So they chase another person, and another, but the real problem wasn't the relationship. It was the life underneath it. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do is build a life you genuinely enjoy living. Wake up with something to work toward. Have goals that challenge you. Take care of your body. Feed your mind. Maintain meaningful relationships. Develop your skills. Serve something larger than your ego. When your life has direction, you don't need someone else to give it meaning. They can add to it, but they don't have to create it. When you feel the urge to chase, there will be moments when your old habits return. You'll want to text. You'll want to call. You'll want to check their profile. You'll want to ask mutual friends about them. You'll want to know what they're doing. Don't judge yourself for feeling the urge. Instead, pause, take a breath, and remember, an urge is not an instruction. You can feel the desire to reach out without acting on it. Give yourself 10 minutes, then another 10. Go for a walk, exercise, read, write down what you're feeling. Ask yourself, what am I hoping this action will accomplish? Maybe you're hoping they'll respond. Maybe you're hoping they'll apologize. Maybe you're hoping they'll suddenly realize your value. Maybe you're hoping the message will temporarily relieve your anxiety. But what happens if they don't respond? Will you feel worse? If the answer is yes, don't send the message. Protect your peace. If they want you, they will make room for you. This doesn't mean relationships require zero effort. They don't. Healthy relationships require communication, compromise, patience, initiative, vulnerability, effort. But effort should flow both ways. You shouldn't have to carry the entire relationship. If someone genuinely wants you in their life, they will make room for you. They may be imperfect. They may have busy periods. They may struggle with communication. But over time, their actions will show intention. You won't constantly wonder where you stand. You won't always feel like you're begging for scraps of attention. You won't have to convince them that you're worth knowing. There will be reciprocity. And when reciprocity is absent for a prolonged period, pay attention. Don't explain away every sign. Don't romanticize every small gesture. Don't confuse occasional attention with genuine commitment. Look at the whole pattern. You are allowed to walk away. Sometimes the most courageous sentence you can say is, "This is no longer healthy for me." Not, "You're a terrible person." Not, "I hate you." Not, "I'll make you regret this." Just, "This is no longer healthy for me." Then walk away. Quietly, respectfully, without unnecessary drama. You don't need to destroy someone to leave them. You don't need to make them your enemy. You can simply accept that the relationship no longer aligns with the life you're trying to build. That's emotional maturity. What if you're the one who needs to change? Now, let's turn the question inward. Maybe you've spent years chasing people. Maybe you repeatedly begged for attention. Maybe you've accepted disrespect. Maybe you've stayed where you weren't valued. Don't use this philosophy to attack yourself. Use it to grow. You can't change yesterday, but you can change what you do today. Instead of saying, "Why did I allow this?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "How could they treat me that way?" ask, "Why did I continue accepting it?" Instead of, "How do I make them regret losing me?" ask, "How do I make sure I never abandon myself again?" Those questions create power. because they return your attention to the one person you can actually control. You, your new standard. From this day forward, don't measure your relationships by how badly you want someone. Measure them by how healthy the connection is. Don't ask, how much do I love them? Also ask, how do they treat me? Don't ask, how badly do I want them to stay? Ask, does their presence improve the quality of my life? Don't ask, how can I convince them? Ask, have they shown me that they are willing? This doesn't make you heartless. It makes you conscious. The ultimate Stoic mindset. Eventually, you reach a place where you can say, I would love for you to stay, but I will survive if you leave. That sentence represents emotional independence. You aren't pretending you don't care. You care. You simply understand that your life is larger than one relationship. You understand that your identity is larger than someone's opinion. Your future is larger than today's rejection. Your potential is larger than someone's inability to recognize it. And your peace is too valuable to place entirely in another person's hands. That's the Stoic mindset. Final conclusion. So, never chase anyone again. Not because you're better than them. Not because you want revenge. Not because you want them to regret losing you. And not because you should stop caring. Stop chasing because your peace matters. Stop chasing because your time is limited. Stop chasing because love should not require humiliation. Stop chasing because friendship should not require begging. Stop chasing because respect cannot be forced. Stop chasing because attention isn't the same as affection. Stop chasing because someone else's decision does not determine your worth. And most importantly, stop chasing because you have a life to build. There are goals waiting for you. There are lessons waiting for you. There are places you've never seen. People you've never met, skills you've never mastered, versions of yourself you've never become. Don't spend your entire life standing at a closed door, waiting for someone else to open it. Sometimes you need to turn around, look at the road ahead, and start walking. Maybe they'll follow, maybe they won't, but keep walking, because the person you were meant to become is waiting for you. And that person deserves your attention far more than someone who repeatedly chose to walk away. Remember the Stoic principle. You cannot control who stays. You cannot control who leaves. You cannot control who loves you. You cannot control who rejects you. But you can control one thing, whether you abandon yourself trying to keep them. Don't. Love without losing yourself. Give without begging. Care without becoming dependent. Forgive without forgetting the lesson. Walk away without hatred. And move forward without looking back every 5 minutes. Because true power isn't making someone chase you. True power is no longer needing to be chased. When you reach that point, you become free. And once you become free, you will never chase anyone again.